Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started today with our webinar. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're really excited to have you all. And we're very excited that everybody's here, that everybody's joined. And we have so many people here that are excited about visualizing their data and seeing their data in new and exciting ways. So we're really excited about that and excited about all of you guys being here today. So first I want to introduce Collin, my colleague. Collin is the guy with the headphones on in the other little box over there. And Collin is really a Power BI guru. He is a Power BI genius. And he enjoys it so much, he even teaches young minds how to visualize data better using Power BI. So that's kind of a fun fact about Collin. So thank you, Collin, for joining us today.
Sorry.
There you go.
Along with me today is David Beaty. He is our Director of Business Development here at TrendSoft. And while he's not leading our killer sales team, you can find him in one of 43 other countries he's traveled to. In fact, he's worked in IT in 5 of those countries. So you'll be in great hands with David. He's seen just about every issue you could throw his way.
Thanks, Collin. So, and before we continue, I'll just mention we do have a Q&A feature here. And we also have Bobby Haggard, one of our colleagues who's joining us. He's helping us out with the Q&A and kind of support for our webinar today. So if you do have a question as we go along, you can put that in the Q&A. So, all right, with that, I'm going to jump back into one of our slides and share my screen. All right. And so you have met us. We want to talk a little bit about what we're going to be seeing today. So this is just a quick overview. We're going to start with a quick overview about how to visualize data and really what we're doing. And the tool we're using today is called Power BI. And so it is a Microsoft product, and but it's not limited to Microsoft data. So that's the great thing about it. And it is fantastic at taking data from all sorts of different sources and aggregating all that, putting it all together, and letting you see that data in a really beautiful, what we call a dashboard or report. So that is what Power BI does so well. It's really next level when it comes to data visualization and data reporting and giving you great insight into your data. It's great at pulling all that data that's floating around everywhere and pulling it into one spot and into a dashboard. And Collin is going to give us an overview of kind of what Power BI looks like. We're going to jump right in, guys. So Collin, over to you.
All right, so what we're looking at today is a data set from a large global retailer or superstore for the last 4 years. And while this is dummy data, it does show, it does closely resemble the same issues that several of our clients have been facing. And as companies grow, they expand and test new markets. And as those markets become more fruitful, the company can sometimes prioritize distribution channels or shipping and manufacturing over their technology. So the data cleanliness or usability of the data may suffer without them ever realizing it until they try to use it. And that is where we come in. So for a little background, this company had a central database that held data from all of their locations around the world, but there was no real detail that could provide any insights. The granular details were stored more in databases that were distributed around the world and maintained by employees in specific markets. So this meant that sales, marketing, and product numbers were being recorded with no standardization. And a good example of this was something like Staples. So Staples were one of the top selling products, but the Latin American division was recording quantity by packs of 100, while Canada was using packs of 1,000, and the US was counting each individual staple. So with Power BI, we were able to standardize the quantity and therefore their sales and give an accurate picture of their sales from a global perspective. And in addition to standardizing their data, we were able to combine and aggregate their data from incompatible data sources and create a central data hub that we see with the sales dashboard. So we share our first report.
All right.
All right. So Power BI is a Microsoft product, so it integrates seamlessly with Excel and SQL, as well as Bing Maps. So we can see, so So we can easily analyze location-based data, like we see with the global sales visual on the right. And there are countless ways that we can manipulate and categorize data, which we see with first with the year slicer at the top. And clicking any of the years will filter the data down to just that time frame. So you see with 2023. And with 2022, we can change it back. And so under that, we display numbers that we'd like to highlight or total or call out, like total sales, quantity, profit, and profit percentage. And we can show parts of a whole with quantity or sales by segment or category with the pie charts in the middle. And at the bottom, we see some good comparisons with bar graphs. You'll have your top 10 sales by customer, sales by a particular market next to that, and then our top selling products by sales next to that. And my favorite, and in my opinion, the best part about Power BI is that it is completely interactive. So just by clicking the slicer, you can filter the data, but you can even select individual data points, like one of the markets. So we'll click the APAC right here, and that will filter the entire report down to just the Asian market. So David, back to you for our second story.
That is also one of my favorite things, that everything's clickable. That's kind of what I say about visualizing data like that in Power BI. It's really, really cool. So that was the overview of Power BI. And I just want to tell you a quick story here about one company that we've worked with in Power BI here at Trendsoft that had data in multiple places. All right. So I think this is common among lots of different organizations and companies. They had data in 2 or 3, maybe 4 different databases. They had some Excel files. They had one thing for financials. They had things in multiple different, inventory and all that sort of thing. And what we were able to do for them was really fantastic. We took all that data. They didn't have to change what they were using for that software, but we were able to take that data and connect it into a beautiful Power BI report. So multiple data sources into one dashboard. And then I'm going to let Collin demo that and finish the story about this example company.
Yeah, so while we're on the topic of marrying different data sources that were never meant to interact with each other, the same customer had all of their sales data, but their sales returns were held in a different database because it was handled by a third-party logistics firm. So the process before we were involved was copying an order number from one database and then trying to look up that number in the other system one order at a time. A very arduous process that they desperately needed automated. They asked our Power BI team if we could flag sales orders that had been returned and provide whatever additional insights we could find. And that's exactly what we did. We literally flagged the orders that showed up in the return database with conditional formatting. So we see over here in the sales detail, that's where I have the actual red flags for the return sales. So up here at the top, we have the return sales and the number of returns and that we wanted to call attention to with card visuals. And around that, we have returns by month and returns by shipping method. And of course, I need to call out the giant blue bar, which the legend tells us represents standard class shipping. And this was one of the other insights that we found. Power BI is a great tool in enabling the report maker to bring data to life or tell a story. And the story that this report is telling us is that we have most returns when we use standard class shipping, especially in the final third of the year per the returns by month line graph. So that makes sense. More sales due to Christmas and end of the year spending will lead to more returns naturally, but this report can give us actionable insights to help mitigate the risk of increased returns by using a different shipping method and or take different extra precautions when using shipping standard class.
Yeah, so that standard shipping, what's going on there, Collin? Whether they need more foam peanuts in there, or what's
maybe wrap it again, more bubble wrap.
More bubble wrap or something. Yeah, but that is a great example of how they were able to take action on the data that they saw. And really for those guys, I think it was, they got one-stop shop. They got all that data aggregated in that one spot that they could actually make decisions on. And they recovered time because they didn't have to go look at all these different databases and different forms of data and reports, that kind of thing. It just put it all in one so they could take action on that. So I will take a quick break here and mention that we have a Q&A here. And so if you've got questions, we may have a few minutes at the end that we can answer. You could also put your email address in there if you would like a copy of today's webinar. Make sure we'll send you a link to that. So just those two things keep in mind. And we really want to hear from you guys for just a minute. So I am going to roll out a little poll for you guys. And we're just asking one question. It's super easy, but I love some audience participation. Sometimes webinars can be funny with that, but I'm going to launch this really simple poll for you. So you should see a question up here on the screen. I'll give you just a minute. So what tools do you use to currently visualize your data? You know, what's working for you? What are you using now? And let's hear from you guys. We'll give you a few seconds to go through that. Oh, I like that some people are honest about the drawing on the back of the dinner napkin. I've actually written out some pretty decent plans on the back of a dinner napkin in my life. So you know, there's some good things can happen there. And if you run out of space, you just turn it over and you can, you know, keep unfolding. So that's great. I'm going to end that and I will share those results. Might be interesting for all of you guys to see. So I'll give you just a second. Obviously, Excel is a popular one. We've got quite a few Power BI users. That's great. That's great. Yeah. And a few different options. And like I said, some back of the dinner napkin. There's some good plans there sometimes. So. All right, so we want to talk for a few minutes here about our second and final story about another group that we work with. And this one's about sales and cross-selling. And so the main idea here, and I'm going to let Collin do the demo and finish the story, but the main idea here was this company knew it had the data that it needed. It just couldn't find a way to visualize that data in a useful way. So they were really interested in seeing what other sales opportunities there would be across other verticals that they sell to. And so we were really able to help them out with that and make a big impact on their sales and help them open up cross-selling opportunities. And so that was a really big win for them. And Collin, I'll let you tell a little bit more about it and show us the demo.
Yeah, the last story we have today is from another one of our clients that buys wholesale and sells across many different sectors, which they track with what they call subcategories. They wanted to know by subcategory what they're selling the most of, where they're selling it, and most importantly, where are they not selling it. So the goal was to see what sectors and products they're experiencing the most success with and gain insight into how they can replicate that success in other locations. So we created what we're calling the crossover sales opportunities report. And so up here at the top, we have a slicer with a list of all the subcategories, which will populate our header at the top of the report. And we can click through each of them to get an entirely new review just based on that instance. So also on the report, we have a column graph showing our best-selling products by sales and a map of the US and Canada, which answers the question of where are they selling and where are they not selling. So lastly, we have a table showing states by their sales, quantity, and profit across segments like consumer sales, corporate sales, and home office sales. Now, I've already done the analysis for this data set, and I found some additional sales opportunities based off this data. And if we go to the subcategory copiers, we see that we have one copier that is far and away the best seller. So we click on that and filter the data even further, and we see that we sell it in just a few states. But the important part is the segment metrics. And we see that we sell it very well in 3 states, but only sell well in 1 state for the corporate sector and the home office sector. So we can use that to influence our sales in other states. And another subcategory we'll look at is appliances. So we this company is selling one air cleaner that is far more than all of the other products in the subcategory. And what's interesting about this is that they're getting almost double the profit from corporate sales versus consumer sales. And from this data, they can now review how they're selling in particular states and apply that strategy to other states and replicate their success or boost profits.
Yeah, I love that. Do you want to bring that up just one more time? Let's have a look
Yeah.
again at that report real quickly. And again, if you're wondering about the data, this is just sample data. We, of course, haven't used actual organization's data. But what I love is the visuals. And this is what's so powerful that we get a lot of feedback from our clients with Power BI. They just love being able to have a quick look at what's going on and drill through. So the mapping is actually useful, but especially that you can click along that left hand side and look at those different, in this case, copiers or the other accessories and that sort of thing, and instantly everything changes. And so the clickability is huge, and our customers are talking about that a lot, and they really love it. So thanks for sharing that, Collin. Appreciate it.
Of course.
So let me bring up my final slide. And we get a lot of questions as we talk through some of these things about how to use this tool. So you guys have several options. We all know that YouTube is very useful these days, and you can Google things, you can look things up on YouTube. There are some great tutorials out there on how to build in Power BI. And also learn.microsoft.com is a fantastic choice. They've got some help pages there that will help you with Power BI, and especially just to kind of get a feel for how to use that tool. If you're not in the mood to learn the nitty gritty and the ins and outs of Power BI, that is something that Trinsoft does, and Collin specifically is our Power BI expert and builder, and so he is very good at hearing what a client wants. Even if you don't know exactly what you want, you can come with an idea and say, I think I've got some data here and this that could be useful, and I could put this in here. We do a lot of financials and other things like inventory that we looked at today. But specifically in financials, people have an idea sometimes of what they're looking for, but they don't know exactly what they want. They just say, I want to be able to see this. And Collin is fantastic at being able to take your ideas and turn it into something beautiful and very visual. So we are here to help you, and you can get in contact with us. You already have our contact from this webinar, and you can also put your email in the Q&A if you want some quicker help. But several people have put their email in there as asking for a copy of today's webinar. There was one question there, I think, Bobby, thank you for answering that, about connecting with Business Central. And Business Central and Power BI are basically cousins, so they connect very well together. But Power BI is not limited to Business Central. It will connect with all sorts of different databases and that sort of thing. So we appreciate that question. And I'm just going to check one more time and see if there's anything else in the Q&A. There was a question about other tutorials out there. Yeah, so we can get in touch with you about that and help you out with some of those things too. Collin, what else did you need to add there? Anything else? Any last thoughts about Power BI?
In terms of data connectors, in the Power BI desktop, we can just about anything that Microsoft does, we can connect to, along with any other SQL base or any other major database. SQL or Power BI has a native connector too.
Okay, fantastic. I see a question there about Active Reporter. That's something we can look at and get back to you. All right. So again, we can give you a copy of today's webinar. If you want to put your name in the Q&A, we'll keep that up for a minute or two. Thank you guys so much for being here. We love talking about Power BI because people love working in it, and they love what we do with Power BI, being able to visualize, and most of all, they love being able to make decisions and take action on all of their data, because we have so much data these days. But being able to get that into a place where you can really make good business decisions helps out so much. So thank you, Bobby, for supporting us on the call today. Thank you, Collin, for joining us as well, and for being the Power BI guru there. And thank all of you guys for being here. We had a fantastic turnout, and love seeing that. Love seeing that you guys are interested in visualizing your data. So please be in touch. And thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you all.